Again, and this time I am discussing Uber insurance. What coverages do you have if you're an Uber driver? What coverages are available if you're injured in an automobile accident because of an Uber driver? We're going to discuss all the different angles of this, so watch this stream if you have questions about Uber insurance. Now, let's get right into it. So I found the insurance coverages on Uber's website. This is public information. A lot of people have been questioning my understanding of Uber accident coverage, saying, well, all the coverages are online and you should be able to find those so easily. You don't even know what you're talking about. Well, I do know what I'm talking about, because just because you know the coverages doesn't mean you have access to the insurance policies, especially if you're an Uber driver who's been involved in an uninsured motorist accident you didn't cause. You don't have workers' compensation coverage because of Proposition 22 in California. You have to rely on your own insurance, on your uninsured coverage. This is generally what you get right here on Uber's website. Insurance for rideshare drivers using Uber. So if you have questions out there about your insurance coverages, you can always leave those questions in the comments below. I'll answer those questions. You can contact me directly. I'll put my email down below. You can ask me more questions about these types of insurance policies. But let's go right through them. So if you're offline, and let's say you get you get in your car and you're saying, oh, I want to drive for Uber. I want to pick some people up and make a little bit of money, but you haven't engaged the app. You haven't turned it on. You're offline. You don't have any insurance just because you happen to be an Uber driver and you're not driving for Uber or going to pick someone up or waiting to pick someone up. You don't have any coverage through Uber. You're going to have to use your own insurance. Now, what is available when you're waiting for a ride request? Let's say you've opened up the app, you're saying you're available to pick someone up, and now you're waiting. You're driving around, you're waiting to engage someone to go pick them up. Uber maintains the following auto insurance on your behalf in the case of a covered accident. The third-party liability when you're waiting or available to pick someone up is $50,000 per person that's injured, and $100,000 per accident that happens. That's known as a 50-100 policy. A 50-100 policy means that if the Uber driver causes an accident and hurts someone, it will pay up to $50,000 per individual injured in that accident. If they hit someone that has two people in the car, it could pay $50,000 to each of those individuals. If the Uber driver hits someone who has three people in the car, it cannot pay $50,000 to all three individuals. It can only pay $100,000 in total. So it would have to be divvied up some way, with no one individual getting more than $50,000 and no more than $100,000 for all the individuals in that car that the Uber driver hits while they're waiting or available in the app to grab a ride request. So if you're out there and you're wondering, well, if was I hit by an Uber driver? What were they doing? You might not know that information. They might not tell you. But the Uber driver is covered if they injured someone during this period of time. But before they make themselves available, there is no insurance coverage through Uber. Once they make themselves available, then there's up to $50,000 per individual, $100,000 per accident, and $25,000 in property damage. Now, notice that when the Uber driver is waiting for a request or is available to pick up someone but hasn't engaged, that hasn't picked them up yet, or they're not en route yet, they're just waiting or available, there's no uninsured motorist coverage. So if you're an Uber driver and you're just waiting, you're driving around, and you haven't engaged, you're not en route to pick up a specific a guest or rider, they call them here, you don't have any uninsured motorist coverage, so you'd have to have your own insurance, your own personal uninsured motorist coverage. If you're hit by someone during that period of time, Uber has no insurance for you. Even though you're ready and willing to go pick someone up and you haven't clicked that button to be en route to pick them up, you're not going to have any insurance coverage at all for your uninsured motorist unless you've purchased personal insurance. And on that policy, you would have to tell your insurance company that you work for a rideshare company and that you're engaged in that app. Now, you might just not tell them if you didn't get that rider on your policy, if you didn't get that additional coverage, that rideshare on your personal policy, then in your waiting or just available to pick someone up, you might not tell your insurance company that you were engaged in the app looking for someone to pick up, because then they might deny coverage. That's something that's very important to know. So once you're en route to pick someone up, once you're an Uber driver and you're en route to pick someone up, or it's during a trip, you have a passenger, then you have a $1 million third-party liability policy right there. What that means is that there's a big fat 1 million. So if you're an Uber driver and you hit someone while you're en route to pick up a rider, or you have a rider as a passenger, you have a $1 million insurance policy through Uber. So if you hit someone, that policy can pay up to $1 million to an individual. Or if you hit two individuals, it could pay $500,000 each, or $250,000 to one and $750,000 to another. If you hit three individuals that are in a car, then it could split that up three ways. That's $333,000. 300. Well, you get the point. 1/3 of $1 million. $333,333.33 per person. Or it could be divvied up in any way. One person get 1,000, another person get 1,000, another person get 1,000 if they're not really that injured. You don't just get the whole insurance policy if you're hit by an Uber driver. You got to be injured. So if you're out there and you're wondering, I have the website right up here, Uber/US, uber.com/US/EN/drive/insurance. This is public information that you can access. Now, if you're an Uber driver and you're hit by someone while you are en route to get a passenger, or you have a passenger and you're hit by someone who has no insurance, there's also a $1 million in California. There's a $1 million uninsured, underinsured motorist bodily injury policy for you. Now, it doesn't list that on the website here, but in California, it is a $1 million uninsured motorist policy. Of course, you would probably have to be fairly injured to get that policy. Now, I want to clarify one thing here about these per person and per incident policies. So I was saying if an Uber driver hits someone and they have three people in the car, well, what if the Uber driver hits two cars or hits a car that hits another car? All of those people are subject to this $100,000 per accident maximum right here if the driver's just available or waiting. And same thing with the $1 million policy if the driver's en route to pick up a rider or has a rider. If the Uber driver causes the accident, hits three or four cars, all of those individuals are going to be stuck with that one accident maximum of $1 million. So I hope this clarifies the insurance questions that you have. If you have more questions, like I said, leave a comment below. I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. My name's Alexander Napolin. I am a Uber accident lawyer here in Southern California. I do California automobile accidents. I've dealt with Uber policies. I've claimed on the policies. I've obtained policy limit settlements on both third-party claims and on uninsured motorist claims with Uber's insurance carriers. Now, it's interesting because a lot of people have, they think they know all about Uber's policy just because they see this screen right here. Well, that's, this doesn't tell you much about what the policy says, what it covers. You'll notice right up here that it says, let's see here. Uber maintains the following auto insurance on your behalf in case of a covered accident. What's a covered accident? That's a really good question. So Uber might deny your claim depending upon the circumstances of your accident. Those are going to be fact specific, but you're going to want to seek the advice of an auto accident Uber rideshare lawyer like myself if you have questions about the specifics of your case. So I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to head out. It's Friday. I'm going to go home, and I hope this helps you with your questions. If you have more questions, again, leave a comment below or contact me at alexander@napolinlaw.com. I will put my email in the description below. if you have further questions. I mean, one of the things that's going on right now is that the appellate court, the California Courts of Appeal, is going to issue a decision on Proposition 22. They have 90 days to issue the decision after oral argument on December 13th, 2022. The 90th day is March 13th, 2023, which is Monday. It may be that the Court of Appeals, they call it Courts of Appeal, not Court of Appeals in California, it's Courts of Appeal. They might not issue their decision within 90 days, despite the fact that the law says that those judges should. Now, the judge could lose their pay for not issuing the decision within 90 days, but this is such a big deal going on right now in California that maybe the judges are going to take extra time to make their decision on whether or not Proposition 22 is unconstitutional or not. I've had discussions on this channel before about whether or not Proposition 22 is unconstitutional. We have an amendment to the Constitution that basically allows initiatives that are co-equal or they're as authoritative as legislation. But there's another amendment to the Constitution that says that the workers' compensation system is vested with the legislature to decide, and there can be limited by no other provision of the Constitution. Well, the initiative amendment to the Constitution is another provision in the Constitution. So that question's probably going to come down. Uber is going to have to give all of their employees, they're independent contractors right now, but they will be employees, all the benefits of employees in California, including workers' compensation insurance. So I'm going to have a live stream on that coming out next week. Hopefully the decision comes out next week. But for now, if you're an Uber driver or you've been hit by someone who's driving for Uber, or you're a passenger in an accident in an Uber, these are your insurance coverages right here. If you're en route to pick up a rider, or you have a rider in the car and you're an Uber driver, you have a $1 million uninsured motorist policy. You have $1 million of protection. If you're an Uber driver and you're waiting or available to pick someone up, you have no uninsured motorist coverage, and you have these liability coverages. You actually might have some uninsured motorist coverage. It doesn't list it here. Let's see here. Here's all of the different insurance companies, optional coverages and things. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll see y'all here next week. Here's some of the insurance companies that they use. You might get any of these companies depending upon how your claim's assigned. It's a little bit shady in my opinion. All right, take care.